Hi, I'm Kristen, and this is Scrap Fabric Love. And today I'm setting myself the challenge of processing these 6 bags of scraps that my new friend Niki gave me. But the thing is, I want to do it before I have to go pick up the kids from school. So this all started when Niki, a fellow quilter and sewer from Edinburgh, messaged me, because she's seen the channel and she sees that's where I live, to see if I was interested in her leftover scraps from all of her charity sewing projects. She thought of asking me because she knows that I make scrap quilts and I don't like throwing anything away. And I've done videos on the channel before where I've either bought other people's scraps or accepted them and used them for particular projects and stuff like that. So I didn't actually ask Niki what all the scraps were. She told me some of them were cotton, some of them were dressmaking, some of them were a bit of a mix. And I've actually had these for a few weeks, but I've been busy with other things and I just haven't had the time to tackle it. So I haven't really even given these bags much of a peek. So today the plan is I'm going to dump them out one bag at a time and process them. So what do I mean by processing? Well, that's usually the idea that rather than having a great big pile of scraps somewhere that you don't know what to do with, you cut them up to particular sizes that you know you're going to use for quilts or other sewing projects in the future. And it makes it easier to grab them, use them, and not be overwhelmed by them. And I've always understood that concept, but it's never quite seemed like the thing to do for me. So I buy lots of other people's scraps. I obviously accept other people's scraps, and I buy remnants, bolt ends, fabric from charity shops, that kind of thing. So it's not always a set size. Sometimes there's a chunk out of it. And I don't tend to make a lot of the same quilts over and over again. I design my own quilts. I do a lot of improv, a lot of foundation paper piecing and collage. So I need scraps in different sizes, and I don't necessarily know what those sizes are going to be. So the thing that's always worked for me is to store my fabric color coordinated, because that's more the key for me, is the colors. And what I do is roll things up, whether they're large or small, in these little elastics. And then I can pull the color basket out and look from the top and see what I want for whatever project. And if I have something larger, more like yardage, I still roll it up and just shove it in there. I know it's not that neat, but I can see what I have, which is more the key for me. Along with my baskets, I also have these crumb boxes. So they've got littler bits for crumb blocks, collage quilting, applique, that sort of thing. And then I have larger buckets for old jeans, because I make a lot of denim quilts. Behind me, there's a few buckets that have like duvets and sheets that I can use for quilt backing, and larger bits of fleece that I can piece together and use for a backing as well. The only fabric that I really store by size is this bucket of 5-inch charm pack squares, because I guess you come across them and I figure I'll put in there. But otherwise, I don't really store my fabric by size, which is kind of what processing is usually about. But I feel like I need a different approach to all of this fabric, because I'm just not sure it's going to fit with the system I have, because I normally don't bring this much fabric all at once into my sewing room. So my thinking is that I've got to come up with some categories of things that I might use this fabric for, or places I might move it on to if it's not to my taste, and sort of start there. And it may be, because I really haven't looked through these, it may be that once I go through the bags, I'll come up with new categories that I need to add, but I need to start somewhere. And so I've got 4 categories that I'm going to start off with. So one is fabric that is a good enough size, whatever that means to me at the time when I'm looking at it, to roll up and put in my color-coded baskets. So basically ones where I'm like, ooh, I like that. I know I'll reach for it. So that would be ones that would just go into my normal system. 2, I've got this new ACCUQUILT tumbler die that I haven't even opened yet. I don't have any set plan, but I like the idea of making a tumbler quilt. So I'm thinking I'll cut some tumbler pieces as I go along. And for once in my life, I'll actually have some pre-cut pieces where I can just make a quilt quickly. Pre-cutting projects ahead of time is not usually my style. So this will be a fun thing to try for me. 3rd, it's the middle of November when I'm doing this. So Christmas is coming, and every year I make fabric gift bags. So if there is anything of a good enough size in here and I don't think I'll use it for something else, maybe I will put it in a pile to make fabric gift bags and do a bit of batch sewing of that later in the week. Now, this isn't Christmas fabric as far as I know, but that might be a good thing, because often when I go and reach for a fabric gift bag from my stash another time of the year, like for a birthday, I get really frustrated and annoyed because Santa and Christmas trees is all over all the fabric. So it would probably be good to have a mix of gift bags in different prints. Fourth, there's going to be some fabric in here that I know I won't use and that I'm going to need to find a new home for, which is kind of what I promised Niki I would do, that none of it was going to end up in the bin. So I'm going to have another pile that maybe I'm going to give to the charity shop down the street that takes craft stuff, or offer to folk inside my scrap club, because we do like string exchanges and orphan block exchanges, so somebody might like some of it, don't know. So those are the 4 categories that I kind of have in my head right now, but as I go through the bags, because I really haven't looked through them yet, I might come up with other categories, other ideas. But the thing is, it's coming up for about 10:30 in the morning, it's a Thursday, and I have to leave the house to pick up the kids at 2:30. So I really would like to have gotten through all these bags by then, but that's more than a bag an hour, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to, but I'm going to try. We have to set ourselves these reaching goals, don't we? So in order to not overwhelm myself, I am going to dump 1 bag at a time out on the large cutting mat on my floor and just get processing. So this was my little floor station for bag 1. I had my ACCUQUILT and I had various containers for sorting things. Some of the other bags had big pieces, but this one had a lot of small bits cut in very funny shapes. So maybe it wasn't the one to start with, because it definitely took me a bit longer. And not a lot of this fabric was big enough to cut those tumbler pieces out. So I did grab some other ACCUQUILT dies and did some hexagons, 2.5-inch squares, and some little rectangles. But 2 hours into bag 1, I realized I wasn't going to get anywhere near my goal of finishing at the end of the day if I didn't change tack. And because I didn't have a plan for any of these smaller sized cuttings that I was doing at this point, I decided I should start grouping it into color bags and then decide what to do with it later. So I sorted it all into the groupings of the different types of fabric and moved on to bag 2, which did have some bigger pieces, was much easier to sort and got through much, much quicker. Then bag 3, a mix. So there was some bigger pieces and also some smaller bits. So in the 2 and 3, I got some pieces for my gift bag making kind of idea that I had. And for the smaller bits, the black and the white pile that you see here, I did decide to do a little bit of sorting and a little bit of cutting, depending on what I thought I would use and which prints I liked the best, kind of thing. So I wasn't totally not cutting stuff, but I definitely wasn't quote unquote processing everything into usable shapes, but there were some bigger pieces, so I did get a few tumblers out of this bag. So then bag 4, mostly vintage florals. So this was kind of partially sorted, I think, by Niki. Anyway, so I sorted it a bit more, and it was more about putting it in different bags. So I did florals, I did like mint and blue, did a little bit of cutting. And then it was getting really close to pickup, like I had an hour or so to go. And I decided that I should just dump the last 2 bags and see where I could get to. So this is bag 5 and this is bag 6. So lots of stuff on the floor at once. Not sure this was the best plan. And you can probably tell how I'm going to do with this end of day goal. But anyways, we have to try these things. So again, I was mostly sorting into categories, into color groupings, into types of fabric, rather than cutting everything at this point. Okay, so I've got about 8 minutes left until I have to go get the kids. Have to get them some snacks or they'll yell at me. And I still have this pile to process, and some of this, it's not what anyone would call processed, but I do have a semblance of an order going on here. So I'm going to have to give up on my, by the time I pick up the kids, goal. But I got fairly close. This is probably the last bag and a half that I'm sitting on. And I will sort it when I get back. And then I will show you the categories and what I'm going to do with it. And hopefully I will be able to find a good home for all of it, even if I can't use it all. Okay, so what I actually kept. Well, I'm going to show you a little clip of the ones that got rolled up and put away in the baskets, because they were already gone in a way. I just needed to clear the clutter. This is what I am keeping that I've just rolled up straight as it was. So I'm going to move this out of the way. It's hard to see here. It's really close up, but I'll show you each bit because I've got to put them in different piles anyways. So there's this big bit of brown. I don't use a lot of brown fabric, but solids I like. So I'm keeping that. So there's some brown. That's another solid. It's like a peach. And then I've got a bunch of these stripy blue and white. I have too much blue fabric. I don't know if I really should keep this, but I kind of liked these ones. So I'm going to keep them for now. And then there was a light blue solid. So that's going to go in the same bucket. And then some other blues, some navies, brick. That's blue, I think, isn't it? Yeah, that's blue. A teensy weensy bit of blue corduroy. This is kind of blue with some dots on it. That's that pile out the way. That was the blue. Over there. Blue's there. Right. And then I have some solid red. This is literally a fitted red sheet. Like a fitted, you know, I'm not sure what size it was. Again, it could be a polyester cotton mix. I'm not sure, but I don't buy a lot of red fabric. So this could be a backing. This could be, I don't know, for some sort of Christmas quilt one day. I might as well keep it. And then some other little bits of red that I'm going to keep. Then there was this solid green. And this is a lot of little bits and pieces of really fine lime green corduroy. I've got a corduroy quilt idea in my head. I mean, it's not fully formed, and this is, it's hard to see, but this is all like cut up into weird shapes. So I'd probably only be like that. So I'd probably be only be using like this bit of it. So I haven't pre-cut that because I don't quite have the idea fully formed, but it's a nice bright color. I like bright colors. So I figure maybe I'll use them. This, is it going green or does it go, I think this goes in white. This is more like a low volume. I might cut that up and use it in a scrappy background, probably one day. So I'll put that over there. Then some bright pink corduroy. Again, this is in funny shapes, but whatever the lime green thing gets used in, probably that would as well. So I'll put that with the peach. I guess that's pink, yeah. Teensy bit of black. I'm always looking for black. Is a black. There was a bigger piece and some smaller pieces. And it's got, well, this one's very small and cut out. Let me show you this one. Right. It's got these like sort of fruits and things on, and I could see myself using that as an applique or something. Don't know. I just liked it. I'm not sure exactly what I'll use it for, but I figure I might as well hold on to it for now. And then this is just white. So that can go, where did I put that? There. The low volume one over there. And then a teeny bit, 2 teeny bits of little purple corduroy. So that's the stuff that I just rolled up to put in the bins. This is the other stuff I've kept. So I have this big pile of fabrics, which is the one for the gift bags that I was talking about. And also, so these ones could like just right away be made into gift bags. And then I've got a pile of kind of a mix of tartans and plaids, which I'm thinking I'm going to piece into like a great big bit of fabric and then cut gift bags out of that. So these ones are going to look a little bit more Christmassy because of the plaid tartan deal. So next week's video is going to be batch sewing gift bags. I do already have a video on the channel about a no measure gift bag, which I love, but it's really more for a few at a time. Making this many at a time, I'm going to need to cut out a few more steps. So next week, batch sewing gift bags. So I'll move this out of the way for now, but this is the stuff that I cut with the ACCUQUILT. So I haven't counted these. I'm not going to count them. This many tumblers. I don't know that it's enough to make a quilt, and it's a very strange mix, but I could make a couple of rows of something. Do you know, your quilt doesn't have to be all one shape, you know, or I could save it until I have more tumblers and do something really scrappy, or find one color that would tie it all together, maybe navy blue, something like that. Anyway, tumblers. Then I cut a much smaller amount of, let me hold these up, rectangles. I can't remember what size they were, but this was a rectangle ACCUQUILT die that I had already. I cut this many 2.5-inch squares, but again, I don't know what I'm using them for, which is why I don't tend to process in terms of pre-cutting shapes, because I have no plan for this. It's definitely more usable, but for what, I'm not sure yet. So anyway, I've got that. I've got these kind of bigger hexagons. What size are these? Let's see. How do you measure them? Do you measure the one flat side? Is that right? If you do, then that's 1.5 inch hexies, and I've got about this many of them, fair amount. And then way more, because this is the ones where it was too small to cut even a 2.5 inch square. I was cutting these little hexies, which I think are 1 inch. If you measure it on, I'm just not sure how you measure them, but you'll know. If you measure it here, that's 1 inch, right? And I have this many, loads, so it's loads, and it's all different prints. So yeah, I have done EPP in the past, which is the, hand sewing with the hexagons and the paper, but got a little frustrated with it. So I haven't done it that much recently, but maybe I'd go back to it, or maybe I'll end up giving them away to somebody who I know who does it, because I do know loads of EPP fans. And of course I could keep cutting from the bags that I've sorted. So I was sorting for example, I have a whole bag of the fabric that this color hexies came from. So I could keep cutting more and more. And if I had a plan for a quilt using this color hexies and this size, I would. But it's a lot of time spent for a project I don't know that I'm ever going to make. I've got lots of quilts on my list, just like everybody else who's watching this. So I decided that because I'd already grouped everything into more digestible bundles, like things that people could understand, like a group of scraps that was like this, or dressmaking fabric, or vintage floral prints, and I had it all grouped like that I might as well offer it to other sewers that I know. Hi, Vicky. Hi, Julie. This is not a YouTube video or an Instagram reel that I'm sending you. Welcome to your own personal freebie fabric shopping channel. So I made one video for 2 of my really good sewing friends, showing them what I had left. And then I made another one for the members of my scrap club. I seem to have failed to take a picture of everything that I had left after I kept what I was going to keep, but it was a lot. When I was doing the scrap club video, I had lots A to W, so I had kind of organized it by lot A, lot B, like that. And for everyone who I was offering the fabric to, they didn't have to pay for the fabric. I was just asking them to help with the postage, because some of it was going quite far. And I did find quite a number of folk who wanted the fabric that I felt like I couldn't use. Most of these lots are going to folk in my scrap club, and I'm just thrilled that somebody wants to use this fabric and is going to enjoy it. I still have all of this, which is still on offer inside my scrap club. So if you're in scrap club and you haven't seen the video of me ridiculously going through lots of fabric, go give it a check and see if you want anything. I'm going to keep this here maybe till the weekend. So these videos go out on a Tuesday. And if you see anything that you want, let me know. Otherwise, this stuff is all going to go to a charity shop near me. It's not going to get thrown out. I do know a charity shop that takes crafting and fabric stuff, but as much as I can send to other folk, I would love to do, because I don't like to overrun the charity shop with too many donations that they have to sort through. But I'll try and make it as organized as I can for them when I drop it off. So what have I learned from this whole exercise? Well, one, probably I shouldn't be bringing in that much fabric all at once and trying to sort it in that kind of time frame. So I think if I had, for example, gone through one bag a week or even one bag a day, if I could handle that, which is still a lot, I probably would have kept more things, saved more things. I might have gone smaller with the kind of sizes that I was keeping, because I do a lot of crumb piecing, so I might have sorted all of those. But I chose not to do that because I was going through 6 bags. I did keep a couple of bags of black and white crumbs, but I kind of stopped myself at a certain point and used the kind of trimmings from the hexies and things for pillow stuffing instead. I really struggle with throwing anything out, even if it's tiny. But usually when I get scraps from other folk, which does happen fairly often. I need to stop, I know. But when I do, it's usually smaller bits at a time. And so it's easier to fit them into my system. So I guess the lesson that maybe you could take in your own sewing room is to sort through those bundles of scraps before they grow. This might be too late for you, or just do a little bit at a time, makes it more manageable. But the other reason that I wanted to document this process at all was to kind of just demonstrate that even if you have bags of stuff that to you just looks useless, looks like total rubbish that no one's going to want, and you can't imagine anyone else valuing it, they might. If you take a little time to just sort it and make it something that someone can see, they might be able to find a use for it. So that's why I was doing the color coordinating. So I really do believe one woman's trash is someone else's treasure. So there was a lot of fabric in Niki's bags that I'm going to use. So I'm really thankful that she thought of me to give the fabric to. It was a big job. I'm not sure I'd do it again, but I decided to do it. I chose. She didn't make me do it, right? So I know she feels better knowing that all that fabric didn't go in the bin and that she maybe didn't have to spend the time to find where it was going to go. So I was kind of happy to take that on because, as you can probably see from all of the funny shaped scraps of her fabric, Niki does a lot of charity sewing, so she is doing her bit. And so having to just sort through what she has left over was a small task to take on, really. Part of what I talk about on this channel, if you're new here, is that there's lots of different ways to do things. Lots of people have different quilting goals and people have different taste. So that's true of your fabric leftovers as well. Maybe you can't handle bits that are tiny. Find someone else, a quilt group, another quilter, a new sewer who might want to use those. And if you don't want to go through all of that work just to give fabric away for free, you can also make money selling your fabric scraps and your leftovers. I've got another video on the channel from a few years ago when I had maybe slightly more time on my hands when I did sell a whole bunch of fabric from my sewing room that I wasn't using. And I made a good bit of pocket change doing it. So if you're looking for tips on how to sell the fabric you don't want, you can check out that video as well. If you're new here, I make scrap quilts. I don't follow a lot of quilting rules, and I tend to get my fabric from unusual places, whether that's other quilters giving it away, scraps that other people are selling, or remnants and bolt ends. That's kind of how I roll. If you've watched all the way to the end and you're not subscribed, I hope you'll consider it, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for spending time with me. Bye.